is practice 4?
Yes.
What's the difference in the defense from when you, March 7th, whatever the last day of spring practice to now as far as where you're at?
Yeah, I think, you're further ahead, obviously, right? I thought, you come into the beginning of spring practice, you've got a bunch of new people, get a new staff, right? But then we had a lot of new players, right? And so everyone's kind of at that base stage with the exception of few. And I thought spring really ascended for our guys as they kind of went through the spring and got better and better and better. I thought we played our best ball at the end. And then you come into summer, and the thing is like, hey, they do a lot of stuff on their own during the summer, and the expectation is to start higher than where you ended spring. And I thought we've done that. The thing that stood out to me in the first 4 practices is just like the effort to the ball, the swarm to the ball, the physicality. And that's always got to be your starting point, right? Beginning of camp is coaching fundamentals, coaching the details of the coverages and the fronts and all those things. But if guys have the effort and the swarm and the physicality, that's always a good start. So we're much further along than we were at the beginning of the spring, and we have a long way to go too. So
everyone talks this time about retention.
Yeah.
I guess what areas do you see the most retention right now? Where would you like a little bit more to pick it up over the next couple?
You mean from a mental standpoint? Yeah, I would say it probably shows most in the first and second down calls. And I would say it's across the board. D-line, linebacker, secondary. I say that because in the spring, that's probably the situation we hit the most. So obviously that one's going to have the most retention. We get into training camp, we open up all the situations, some of the end of games, some of the last plays, things like that. So guys will be hearing that stuff for the first time. So the first and second down stuff.
Joe, what do you like about not being tied to a position? I don't know if you've ever done that in your career before this year.
No, I haven't.
How's that helped?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it does 2 things. It connects the defense, and then I can inject the why. So when we're in meetings, I just alternate from different positions. And so, I go in and, I want to hear the players. I want to be around the guys. When you're a coordinator and a position coach, you don't get around the guys as much. But then, say, hey, listen, this is why we call this. This is what the linebackers are doing when you're sitting in the secondary meeting. This is what the linebackers are doing when you're sitting in the D-line meeting. It just kind of pulls everything together. So I like it, because I feel like it can answer the why and connect the group.
Joe talked about kind of getting back to that toughness that Coach D'Antonio had. How much do you see yourself as kind of the vehicle towards restoring that toughness?
Yeah, I think I'm one of a bunch. I think it's a program thing, whether it's strength coach, whether it's just in terms of the day-to-day, whether it's the position coach, whether it's the coordinator, whether it's the head coach. So, yeah, I'm certainly part of that. And I think defensively, the driving force needs to be physicality, toughness, hardness. But I'm one of the staff, but the staff is all on the same page with that mentality. So,
with Kenny, you've been working with him since, January? What have you seen that enabled his teammates to vote him to get the number 1?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? There was a vote, and he got the most votes, and he was a guy that's been here as of recent, January. But the thing about him is he competes his butt off. I'll give you a story. So in July, I had the defense over my house for a little cookout, and I have a basketball hoop, and Kenny's out there playing some of the guys, and he's to me, it's like it's the NBA Finals, like watching him play, right? And then later on, he's over there playing bags or cornhole, depending on where you are in the country. But he's playing like it's the ESPN Ocho cornhole championships, right? And Chuck is standing next to me, and Chuck goes, "Man, this is the most competitive dude I've ever seen." And I said, "You're right," because that's how he is on the football field too. So I think that just stands out to his teammates. This guy competes, and he's always going 1,000 miles an hour. He's a good person, and he's a leader for us. So it was an honor, well deserved.
How does that translate? How does that translate on the pass rush to have that kind of a competitive spirit or motor?
Yeah, I think on the D line, playing with a series of efforts. That's one of the things we talk about is critical because. On D-line, there's going to be a get-off, there's going to be an engagement, there's going to be a separation, and there's going to be a pursuit to the ball, right? A corner might pedal and being a pedal the whole play, right? No disrespect. I certainly can't go out there and cover on the edge. But up front, it's a series of efforts. Pass rush, a lot of it is just being relentless, okay, and just having a high motor. He is a high motor guy. There are times we have to, pull him back, okay? But as a defensive coach, that's what you love, all right? You don't want to be pushing him forward. You want to be pulling him back, and he's a pull-back guy.
As far as bringing him out of this team through the portal, because I know he played for Pat at Northwestern. What was that process like? How did you guys identify him? And
Yeah.
How did you know he was this kind of guy?
Well, it was a couple things. Coach came to us and said, when he was in the portal, and was like, hey, I coached this guy. And but he was like, here's what I know about him, evaluate him. Okay, because he wanted us to get an evaluation of him. And I'll be honest, it was a projection because at NC State, he went there to play edge, and then they had injuries, and they moved him off the ball. And so when we looked at him, we said we felt like he was best on the edge. Like he had the traits, he just needed to be, developed a little bit and coached at rushing the passer. And and then we got on the phone with him, and we really, really liked him a lot in terms of his personality, his attitude, just his intelligence. So then it just kind of came together. We came back to coach and was like, hey, we really like him. He was like, cool, I like him too. So we went after him.
A lot of people, especially fans, noticed your emotion last year, I guess, on the sideline. How important is it to have that kind of energy and, I guess, passion, when you're coaching or just in football in general? And then, how much do you feel like that's kind of being restored here right now?
Yeah, here's the one thing I'll say. I think one of the key things a coach can do is just be themselves, right? The players don't respond to phony, okay? Because I've seen plenty of coaches who aren't super high energy who are great coaches, right? And it's about, being your true self. That being said, the guys want to feel passion. If that passion is a vocal passion, cool. If it's not, some guys get really excited all the time. I'm not an excite all the guy time on game day sometimes, but usually during the week I'm pretty okay? So, but my point is you just got to be yourself. And so I do think players feed off energy. I do think they feed off of passion, but I do know this. If you try to be phony, they're going to see right through it and they're not going to respond. So we have a passionate and energetic defensive staff, okay, from the back end to the front end. And I think we got a good group that'll bring energy, enthusiasm, starting with the head coach. So it's a good group to be able to drive the team.
Is it different working for a defensive coach? I mean, a guy who has a defensive background.
Yeah, I haven't done it since my first years in coaching D3 school. Every other time I've worked for an offensive coach, but coach balances it really well. He goes in everyone's meetings. He sits in on everything, and he can provide input to offense, defense, and special teams. And I think the difference is he just gets where it's coming from on defense. Where sometimes if a guy played receiver or things like that, or was a quarterback, they maybe don't have quite the same sense. I mean, he gets it. He's been on that side of the ball, so I think it's appreciated by the guys. But there's a lot of great offensive, guys who are head coaches who are able to do the same thing. So,
what's it been like working with LeVar Woods as special teams coordinator?
Well, number one, always thought he did a great job. Competed against him for a lot of years. I mean, this was probably 9 years. But a lot of respect for him. And then he's a very good teacher. And commands a room and has done it at a super high level for a really long time. So it's been awesome to have him here. Plus, he's a cool dude. I like him. He's off the field too. So
I know you're away from the linebackers a little bit now, but
yeah.
Pat mentioned about Adam Shaw and the step that he's taken early. I'm wondering what you've seen with him and how Pretzloff's been coming back from his injuries.
Starting with Pretzloff, I don't think he's missed a beat. If anything, he's further ahead than when he was injured. The cool thing was, even though he was non-contact all spring, he did everything that was non-contact. So now he's getting some contact under his belt. We're ready to turn him loose. He's going to play a lot of ball for us. What position on the depth chart, that'll get sorted out through the rest of camp. But he's going to play a lot of ball for us, and he can be a really good player for us. Adam Shaw has put on a lot of weight. As is the case when freshman linebacker get here, they're usually, 210 pounds and don't look like linebackers, and then all of a sudden they start eating and lifting and training, and then they start to fill out, and he's starting to fill out. And I would say he's a really good athlete. He's a physical kid, and he's got a high aptitude. So, you get guys that are athletic, who are smart and can run. Those are the great foundation to play really, really good linebacker, and he has it.
Ian's a guy that has played up and down a little bit,
Yeah.
I believe. You like that versatility? Is that something you could see him doing here, and just how's he been performing so far?
I like him. He is a mean SOB, right? And I say that with all endearment. We like guys like that. He's physical. He plays downhill. He will hit you. He's on the football field. He's got a few loose wires in a good way. And so I think when our fans get a chance to watch him play, they're going to love how he plays. He can play off the ball, and he's a really good blitzer. We can walk him up on the edge and send him off the edge because he has played off the edge. Sometimes when guys go from forward to back, they struggle with recognition of plays. He does not. So,
Having been a quarterback, help him that way too?
absolutely. I think anytime a guy's a quarterback, it just helps their awareness. A lot of times on defense, you'll see maybe a safety that played quarterback, and then he might move up, and it's always like, can he key and diagnose? Can he read? Well, if a guy's a quarterback and he's not processing the right way and an effective quarterback, it shows his ability to process.
You have a unique perspective. You were here a year ago, and now you're here this year. And what are the vibes coming into the camp, and also like in the community with the former players who you've been around at the golf camp or the golf outings and all of that? What's it like this year?
Yeah, I mean, and just speaking to this year, right? Because I don't like to, compare anything, but just speaking to this year, like I'll give you an example. We're at the golf outing, okay, and there's a part of the golf outing before they tee off, and a lot of bad golf gets played. Coach Fitz kind of addressed the alums, and like I could see within 15 seconds, like they like this guy, they like his energy, and Coach Fitz just brings it. It's not fake. Again, it's who he is, right? So like I felt like it resonated really well with the alums, and I've kind of just felt that in the community too. Now we got to get the team ready to go play football and go out there to win football games. Okay. But I feel that, I'm feeling it. You're asking an energy and an attention to detail and a physicality and an edge. And that kind of stems from coach.
When you mentioned smarts with Shaw,
Yeah.
I wonder, like we talked about last year, how valuable that is for guys who can recognize plays and play inside your system. But I wonder who are the guys, regardless of where they are in a depth chart, stand out in that regard as smarts.
Nakai Martinez, super smart player. Jordan Hall, super smart player. It would never be on this staff, but there's over the years, like Jordan probably knows the scheme better than some guys from in the past years ago that were defensive coaches. That's how well he knows the defense. Chuck Brantley, Chuck knows football. He's a really smart player. And then you get up front, like, Ben Roberts, Worm, like he knows ball. So we've got him. And just so you know, like we'd like to collect as many of those people as possible. The way the football gets played in 2026, and then you see what gets asked of guys in the NFL, like see ball, get ball doesn't work real well. You got to have guys that have high aptitude and can learn. And that was something that we intentionally went after. Devin Vaught, Michael Richard, like it was intentional in how we went to go recruit those guys. So we got a bunch of guys like Brady Pretzloff is a super smart football IQ guy. So
How much when you initially talked to Pat about staying on here, did you kind of talk about wanting you to be a stabilizing force in this transition? Because obviously this program's gone through a lot of different transition periods in the last couple of years. But how much did he talk to you about that? Just kind of being somewhat of a stabilizing force, having at least that part.
Yeah, and so I, obviously hit the insight with him and the decisions. Obviously, I don't want to speak for Coach, but I think as we went through the initial stages, as that number one being a possibility, and then it happening, I think there was, with some of the guys on defense, obviously there was a little bit of comfort because they know who their coordinator is going to be. And then we were able to just give some insight onto some things about players and then just how things have gone. So, but just in terms of the decision, obviously, I defer to Coach in terms of answering that because I don't want to, talk about things that, or him.
Yeah,
So.
sure.
You mentioned Chuck. How are you guys kind of moving forward with him? You know him, but then he's been limited a little bit, and the pads will come on here soon.
Yeah.
What are you looking at with him, and what are you hoping to get?
I'm hoping to get his best year. Chuck's a really good football player. Chuck and I've always felt kind of had a cool relationship, and I like him a lot as a football player, and I think Spartan Nation does too because of how he plays, right? And but I also like him as a person, and he's had a lot of personal growth since I first met him, from the first time I met him till now, and I'm proud of him. So I want him to get back, and he's working and he's practicing. They'll be taking the restrictors off here in a little bit, but he's going. He's good, and I'm excited, and I want him to have a freaking great year for him because like I said, I love the kid.
Could he play nickel? Is that a possibility, or is he more of an outside?
He'll be all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's Anello been coming back on the foot?
That's another guy where you got to put a rope around him and you got to hold that guy back. So he's been great. Haven't had to worry. He's 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, sometimes we got to calm him down. So he's looking really good rushing the passer right now in one-on-ones. I thought he had hit some really good rushes today in practice. So I'm excited to have him back. He was flashing, doing some good things for us last year. Was injured, kind of a freak thing. So we're happy to have him back.
How much does that edge rush help everything else you want to do on the defense?
Well, here's what I'd say. Edge rush helps coverage, and edge rush helps takeaways. Okay, because most takeaways are the result of in 2020. This isn't 1974 when the All-Pro quarterback had 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. People don't turn the ball over now like they did back in the day. Hall of Fame stats in the 70s would be backups now. So if you look at interceptions, most interceptions are the result of pressure. Okay? And then the most fumbled play in a football play is a sack fumble. So pressure creates takeaways, right? It helps coverage, and then it creates minus yardage plays. You get sacks, and it's hard for an offense to overcome a sack on a scoring drive. Okay, so it does a bunch.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.